we will continue our journey of decoding the fatal pressure points of the global financial system. In today's podcast episode, we're going to dive into a new kind of weapon, more sophisticated, more silent, yet capable of a level of destruction greater than any US carrier strike group. If the petrodollar is the rope and sanctions are the noose, then what we're about to discuss is a razor-sharp knife quietly severing the Achilles tendon of the swift giant. That weapon is mBridge, a project the mainstream press rarely covers in proportion to its true significance. Yet it is a nightmare that keeps strategists at the White House and the US Treasury awake at night. Welcome to Inner Shadow, where you'll find truths society would rather you never see. Swift, under glass, under Big Brother's gaze. To understand why mBridge is dangerous, we first have to understand the weaponization of the SWIFT system, short for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. For decades, the world was lulled into believing SWIFT was merely a neutral messaging system between banks. In reality, it is a glass cage Washington uses to monitor every financial artery on this planet. Any transaction that converts into USD, even a Vietnamese company buying goods from Brazil, must pass through an American intermediary bank. That means the United States has the power to 1. See everything, 2. Freeze instantly, or 3. Worse, seize if it chooses. This is ultimate power. When the US cut Russia off from SWIFT in 2022, it carried out a public financial tendon cut, turning a great power into a payment island, isolated from the global bloodstream. But the excessive weaponization of SWIFT created a violent backlash. Countries began to realize today, it's Russia. Tomorrow, it could be us. An urgent need for an escape route emerged, and that is when mBridge was born, not a weak substitute, but a revolution designed to eliminate the role of US intermediary banks entirely. What is mBridge, and why is it the knife that cuts SWIFT's tendon? mBridge is a digital payments platform using distributed ledger technology, DLT, developed through collaboration between the BIS Bank for International Settlements and the central banks of China, Thailand, the UAE, and Hong Kong. Recently, another heavyweight joined Saudi Arabia. Imagine mBridge as an underground pipeline that runs across borders without passing through any US checkpoint. In the legacy SWIFT system, a transaction can take 2 to 5 days and rack up costs across multiple layers of intermediaries. With mBridge, CBDC's central bank digital currencies can transfer directly to one another in seconds. And this is the knife that cuts SWIFT's tendon. Why? Because mBridge completely removes the need for the US dollar as an intermediary currency. Suppose the UAE wants to sell oil to China. It could exchange a digital dirham directly for a digital yuan, e-CNY, on the mBridge platform. The transaction does not pass through New York, is not monitored by the Fed, and cannot be blocked by any Washington sanctions. Put bluntly, they are building a new financial nervous system for the world, one in which Big Brother America's eyes are completely blind. This is no longer a forecast, it is a functioning reality, and Saudi Arabia's participation is the deadly variable for the petrodollar system that Trump is trying to salvage. Remember the logic: the US protects Saudi Arabia in exchange for oil being sold in USD. But now Saudi Arabia wants to help build a system that enables oil sales without USD. This is a profoundly sophisticated counterstrike. Riyadh will not publicly declare an abandonment of the USD because that could trigger military action or brutal sanctions from the US. Instead, it joins quietly. It is preparing for a post-USD future. When mBridge infrastructure is complete and liquidity is deep enough, the shift to multi-currency settlement becomes a single button. For Donald Trump, this is an unacceptable betrayal. But what can he do? Strike Saudi Arabia, sanction his most important Middle East ally that would only push Riyadh into BRICS' arms faster. mBridge is forging a digital shield for oil states, allowing them to break free from Washington's grip without firing a shot, decoding the weapon. Why DLT is poison to the dollar? Why is DLT a financial weapon for Russia and China? In the traditional financial system, power lies in centralization. Whoever controls the central server controls the game. For decades, the US has been the one holding that server. DLT is different. It is decentralized. Transaction data is stored simultaneously across all participating parties. No single entity can unilaterally freeze accounts or cancel transactions. mBridge uses a variant of this technology to create an instant FX market. When a transaction occurs, algorithms automatically calculate exchange rates and swap currencies without needing an anchor currency like the USD. That destroys America's greatest advantage, forcing the world to hold USD reserves to settle trade. If countries can settle safely and quickly in their own currencies via mBridge, they will no longer need to hold trillions in US treasuries. When that demand disappears, America's $38 trillion debt bomb detonates. Trump understands that. That is why he applies pressure, frantically threatening 100% tariffs on anyone who abandons the USD, imposing 25% tariffs on countries that do business with China. But threats are one thing, stopping an inevitable technological trend is another. The currency war has shifted from gun barrels to lines of code. China is leading the race with the digital yuan e-CNY deeply integrated into mBridge. It no longer needs armies to occupy oil fields. It only needs to offer payment infrastructure that is better, cheaper, and safer from America's blatant interference. Russia is not sitting out. Putin announced plans to build a dedicated payment system for BRICS fully compatible with mBridge. This is a devilish linkage against Washington. Russia's resources, plus China's technology, plus Middle Eastern capital equals the death of the USD. The US is caught in a pincer. If it bans its banks from participating, it isolates itself from Asia and the Middle East's financial future. If it allows mBridge to grow, the USD loses its monopoly status. Trump chooses to counter by trying to create a digital USD or by backing crypto to keep capital flows inside America's controlled system. But the core difference is this: mBridge is designed so that no one can control it, while America always wants absolute power. And the world appears to be choosing freedom from the grip of a debt-ridden nation. The end of the sanctions era and a multipolar financial order. This rise will mark the end of an era of sanctions abused for the last 30 years. When Washington can no longer see and block flows of money, sanctions become nothing but scrap paper. We are moving toward a multipolar financial order where power no longer concentrates on Wall Street, but disperses across multiple network nodes from Shanghai to Dubai to Riyadh. Trump can arrest Maduro, threaten Iran, and tighten the screws on oil tankers. But he cannot arrest the bits of data running through mBridge. This battle is colder than you think. It unfolds in heavily guarded data centers inside complex encryption algorithms. But its outcome will reshape the wallets of people worldwide. When the USD is no longer the blood of the global economy, America will be forced to face a brutal reality. A nation drowning in debt with stalled production and no longer able to print money and make the world pay for its lifestyle. The board has been set. In this war, the one who controls the new payment infrastructure controls the world. The death of an empire does not begin with invasion. It begins when its currency is no longer welcomed at the most important gateways of global trade. And mBridge is the door now slamming shut in America's face. Welcome to the post-USD world, raw, unsentimental, and with no room for those who live on the past. The eye of the storm. Digital gold and strategic commodity reserves. We've talked about Venezuela's gun barrels, Russia's shadow fleet, and mBridge's digital underground pipeline. But that was only misdirection and infrastructure. Now we go straight to the eye of the storm, where Russia, China, and BRICS are forging a financial nuclear weapon meant to destroy trust in the USD at its root, the combination of digital gold and strategic commodity reserves. This is not theory. This is a pull the firewood from under the pot plan to turn America's $38 trillion national debt into waste paper and erect a digital fortress for a world that no longer trusts. For more than half a century, the world has operated on an illusion called trust. On every US dollar bill are the words, "In God we trust." But in practice, Washington wants you to understand trust our military and our stability. Yet when US debt hits $38 trillion and inflation begins to eat into every nation's pocket, trust becomes a luxury no one wants to buy. Russia and China understand to bring down an empire built on debt, drag the world back to real value. But they do not return to primitive barter. They create digital gold. Digital gold here is not Bitcoin or volatile coins. BRICS's digital gold is a CBDC system directly pegged to physical gold reserves. China has quietly stockpiled gold for decades, shifting trillions in reserves from US treasuries into bullion stored deep in vaults in Shanghai and Beijing. Russia too has turned its reserves into an impregnable gold fortress. In settlement, instead of using green paper backed by nothing, they use a unit of account, each unit guaranteed by a real quantity of gold. If the US prints an extra $1 trillion, the value of every dollar falls. But BRICS cannot print more gold. The contrast is lethal. One side is the currency of debt and deception. The other is the currency of substance and scarcity. This cuts America's economic privilege at the tendon. If nations can hold a highly liquid digital asset that is heavy as gold, what will they do? They will discard the USD. This is the dematerialization of gold, turning it into a modern financial flow. The US can sanction a bank, but it cannot sanction a blockchain algorithm backed by physical gold inside an opponent's territory. But gold is not enough. Russia and China take a higher-level move, building a basket of strategic commodities as the foundation for a BRICS common currency. Look at what BRICS controls. Russia has oil gas grain. China has rare earths and immense manufacturing capacity. Brazil has iron ore and soybeans. South Africa has diamonds and platinum. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have energy. This is the monetarization of resources. In the past, they were forced to sell real resources in exchange for USD, a currency. America can print at will. Now they reverse the game. If you want oil, wheat, or rare earths for chips, you cannot pay with paper. You must pay with a currency backed by those very commodities. Imagine a currency whose value depends not on the Fed's rate decisions, but on oil, copper, and wheat prices. This is a machine built to crush America's inflation advantage. When the US pumps money to rescue its domestic economy, global commodity prices surge in USD terms, but priced in BRICS's commodity currency prices remain stable. This move makes America a victim of the system it built. America is a consumption nation living off cheap imported goods paid for with freshly printed money. When the world rejects paper and demands physical reality, America will face shortages and hyperinflation. This is not a military war. This is a physical chokehold. Trump wants to bring manufacturing back to the US, a good idea. But to manufacture, you need raw materials. If Russia, China control supply and only accept payment through their system, America will have to kneel and beg to join or accept industrial death by blood loss. The dollar repatriation. Tsunami Wall Street's doomsday. And here is the final fatal pressure point. The most horrifying consequence no US politician dares admit publicly: the repatriation of excess dollars. For decades, America performed financial magic, printing money and pushing it abroad. USD flowed across the world like blood through a giant body. Because the world needed US dollars for trade, that enormous money supply did not return to the US to cause inflation at home. America exported inflation to poorer countries. But the game changes when BRICS's digital gold and commodity reserves take the market. Central banks will flee at scale, dumping US government bonds and sending massive USD reserves back to where they were born. Imagine a currency tsunami worth tens of trillions of dollars crashing onto America's shores. When that vast money supply returns while domestic production has not recovered, the result is only one thing: Zimbabwe or Venezuela-style hyperinflation right in the heart of New York. At that point, the $38 trillion debt is unpayable. Even if Trump cuts rates to zero, tightens money supply, or prints more every extra dollar, only makes the tsunami more violent. And that is when the financial board is flipped. Trust in the greenback does not merely weaken, it is exterminated. The board resets. The order of those who control reality. The currency war is reaching its climax. On one side, the US tries to use military power. Maduro arrests, and Israeli threats to maintain a rotten financial illusion. On the other side, Russia, China, and BRICS quietly build a system based on what humans can touch, measure, and use: gold, oil, food, and grain. Trump is practical and knows he's holding a bad hand, yet he steps into a life-or-death round. The decisive actions, economic/military attacks on Iran, seizing Venezuelan oil, arresting Maduro, are a desperate attempt to prevent the world from seeing the truth. The USD emperor is not wearing clothes. But digital gold and strategic commodity reserves are physical truth, something no tweet thread and no sanction can erase. The new order will not be built on promises from Washington politicians. It will be built on the backing of resources and blockchain technology. The world is entering an era in which the strongest is not the one who can print the most money, but the one who holds the most real value. When trust in green paper collapses, it will be a painful reset for humanity. The old order will die in convulsions of debt and hyperinflation, making way for a multipolar order, colder and more pragmatic than ever. Prepare yourself, because when the death knell for the USD rings, it will not only be the collapse of a currency, it will be the collapse of a way of life built on debt that we have grown far too used to. The American empire stands at the edge of an abyss, and this time, no paper parachute will save it. This will be a reality in which gold and blood are worth more than any promise made by banks.